Mr. Shatner has just arrived.
Oh, there he is.
The great William Shatner has just arrived.
Conglomeration.
How are you, Bill?
Guys, how are you? Opie and Anthony. It's
been a while, sir.
It's been the Opie and Anthony channel. I can't
Wow.
believe
No one's supposed to know about that.
But that's
Mr.
okay.
Shatner, but that's okay if you're announcing it.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes.
Opie and Anthony channel.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet.
It's barely a show, and here it is a channel.
That's true, right? Barely a show. It's yeah. I guess. Did he just make the official announcement?
I guess. Yeah.
I was doing some recordings back there before I came in the building. They wouldn't let me in the building, first of all. And then they finally let me in the building. The first thing I do is, would you say the Opie and Anthony channel, please?
Nice.
Why wouldn't they let you in the building? You're William Shatner.
I know.
God's sake.
Maybe that's why.
I left my bag that I carry around in this car that's taking me around. I didn't want to schlep it around.
Yeah.
So I left my identification.
Oh
so
my
the
God.
person from the publishing company is holding up my book as identification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and the woman says, "I read it. I don't want him to get."
I would have just given that retinal scan, much like you did in The Wrath of Khan, where you just looked into it.
My eyes are a
in
little
order to
bloodshot
get,
from.
Yeah, in order to get the information for the Genesis device.
Yes. That was very complicated.
This happens every time.
I don't know whether
Mr.
the laugh
Shatner
after
hates
that was
that.
worth it.
I like to think I could sit and talk with Bill about
Well, we can.
About the
Opie and
anything, a little
Anthony
bit of everything,
channel.
and Star Trek does come up every 2 seconds with me.
I've never seen an episode of Star Trek, not one.
What are you, crazy?
I just haven't. I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
I would like to.
There's something wrong with him. It starts with the language.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that accent? Anybody with that kind of accent won't watch Star Trek.
We only just got TV in Australia, let alone Star Trek.
Really?
Hell no.
What do they got? Skippy the Bush Kangaroo?
Very popular show to this day.
I remember that one.
Jesus, how do you remember that?
That was an old.
Is it a real
that's an
show?
oldie.
It was,
That was Skippy the
it
Bush
was basically
Kangaroo.
like Lassie, but it was
Right.
kangaroo based. and so, like, you'd have this kid called Sonny, he'd fall down a well, and Skippy would come out going, and they go, "What's that, Skip? Sonny's falling down the well." Now, the thing is, they always used to get Skippy to point the direction, and they could never get the kangaroo to do that. So they used to just fucking go into the bush, kill another kangaroo, cut its arm off, and there'd be some cameraman poking this dead limb.
Suddenly the laughter ebbed out of the
Yeah,
room.
what happened?
What happened?
How do you know that's true?
Later.
That's hilarious, though. It's
Not
true.
really.
Which is a great segue into your book,
Not a
by the
big
way.
kangaroo. Yes.
It's you're a funny dude. It's called Shatner Rules, and I didn't read the whole thing because we had I was reading another biography, but I've read the first couple of chapters.
One eye with on one book and the other eye on the other.
I know,
book?
I'm
That's
not
how
a good
he-
multitasker.
that's how he
We've
does
had a lot of
multitasking.
authors in lately, but
I love the writing in this.
authors.
And
Thank you.
The first one's about the Comedy Central roast where you got roasted,
Yeah.
and it was funny because you put some comebacks that you should have said there in this, and you don't seem to take yourself seriously at all, which is great.
Well, there's not much to take seriously about. You got to handle your material, and there's not much to handle here. No, I'm joking. The laughter ebbed out of this.
We're like, wait a minute.
Cutting up the arm of a kangaroo.
I'm just glad it's not just me, to be honest with you. Thanks for making the Skippy story look good.
You and I should unite on publicizing this book. So the book it does carry some of those. I mean, somebody yesterday said I'm getting a seat on the subway because I read the book in the subway. I start cackling out loud, and people move
they
aside.
kind of move. They think,
'cause they think they're
somebody's
crazy, and then they sit down in the subway.
What I think of you, what to me the best definition of you is the SNL sketch you did where you kind of goofed on, it's a show, get over it. Like that's how I kind of view your personality, and I read everything kind of hearing it in that voice.
and that kind of
And
yeah.
chapter 2 is to be a Shatner, you must know Shatner. I kind of finished that where you just list a bunch of facts about yourself, which are interesting and fucking hilarious. Like I don't know why I like the one about your first movie, which you said, what was it called? I can't. My first film, in a 1951 Canadian film titled "The Butler's Night Off." I've never seen it, and I don't know why that interested me so much. You've never seen the first movie, you did.
So much I haven't seen of my. I avoid watching it,
As you should.
The book is funny, and the book attempts to say, and there's a group of guys. I'm telling your listening audience here. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8, 9 guys in the room here, and
one woman short of a rape
of a minion, and everybody's got a voice. And my book, I don't know how I'm going to relate this, is the concept behind the book is to say yes to opportunities. So you guys have all said yes, you're going to be here. We're having an adventure together just by the very fact that you're here. My book says say yes to opportunity, yes to life, and that's the basis of the book, and everything is told hopefully with humor, but with that idea in mind.
That's a pretty good philosophy to have. Very unlike the character in the Twilight Zone, though, kept putting the penny in the machine, and his life was pretty much being dictated by every little slip that came out. He goes, should we leave? Should we leave now? Should we check if the car's repaired? Very different.
But what a great science fiction concept or horror concept.
It's fantastic.
It's a great, the writing, the writer who said, I was doing this machine. Wouldn't it be marvelous if somebody's life was dictated? I'll write that script.
Yes, and you know what else was great about that? There wasn't any weird, scary thing in there. The whole thing, it wasn't supernatural. It was just somebody's paranoia and them getting caught up in something.
Right. Yeah. But it made a Twilight Zone.
It was a very
and struck a sort of universal note.
Yeah.
It's around more.
Unlike, of course, there's a man on the wing. You know, I was like that one too,
and that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, surely that stemmed from if we were meant to fly, we'd have wings,
right?
Now, who did that first? That you or Lithgow? Who did that first?
Who'd what?
Oh,
you or
Shatner.
John Lithgow?
Shatner
I'm
did it.
kidding.
Stop it!
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Jimmy, you know what?
It's
I don't
hard
even
to
care
tell,
if you're
Tim.
kidding. You
It's
don't
hard to
insult
tell.
Bill Shatner like that.
No, his little smiley face looking up at you.
I know,
You don't know
it is.
whether he's
I
kidding.
know.
You don't know whether
Yes.
he's real or
Yeah.
not.
Can I say another great thing that I like, and I want to ask you about this? It's another funny fact. Number 12. I once got into a fist fight on stage during the Broadway run of The World of Susie Wong with Australian actor Ron Randell. For 50 years, he's ignored my challenges for a rematch. Coward! Editor's note, Mr. Randell died in 2005. It's fucking funny,
when he
man.
heard me issue that challenge, he died.
It's great, man.
That is awesome.
Did you really? But what spurred the fist fight? I've been wanting to ask you that for a week.
He used to clap me on the shoulder somewhere after opening night when the show's supposed to be frozen. When he had a laugh on some line, and he'd clap me on the shoulder like, "Hey, hail fellow, well met." If the laugh was good and loud, he would just be a tap. But if he missed the laugh, either in rage or frustration or thinking it was my fault, he'd hit me hard. So after a while, I'd say, "Ron, that seems becoming all about my absorbing your punch." And he was an Olympic swimmer. Had been.
Oh,
all Australians are.
yeah, apparently
He never
so.
let up. And I kept asking people, will you ask him to not hit me so hard? Stage manager, Josh Logan, the producer, everybody. And finally, one day, after months of this, I said, if you hit me again, I'm going to hit you back. So he took that as a challenge. So he hit me on stage.
Wow.
So I hit him back on stage.
In the middle of the show.
In the middle of the show.
Oh, what a great
That's
show.
And
that
then,
must have been.
when the first act curtain came down, he came charging over at me, swung. I ducked, and he hit a prop guy in the face.
Now, did the crowd think that was part of the show?
Yeah. Well, we just kept going.
They just-
And what I didn't write about, because what happened after that was finally the curtain came down and everybody left the theater, including me. And the next evening, we all went to our dressing rooms, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And those dressing room doors are kept open by a wedge because it's a fire door. And so to keep them open, they're wedged. I'm in my dressing room, and in he comes, and he's looking for a fight in the dressing room, in a 12 by 12 dressing room. That's like being locked in a cage with a mountain lion. The stage manager got between us. Somebody kicked the wedge out. The door shut, and there were three guys in a small room.
Oh, shit.
And I had a picture, a mental image of his jugular and I was going to go bite him on the jugular. That's where I was going.
Maniacal.
They finally kept us apart.
Now, did you ever make up with? Like,
Oh, yeah.
You know how much history would have changed if like, say you would have bitten his neck and then they just threw you out acting, just like you can't hire this guy. He bites the neck of the other
people on
actors.
the neck, yeah.
Like how different life would be.
Well, I
I've
might have been
seen,
hired. Let's get him to bite somebody on the
that's
neck.
true. You know
I've
what?
seen Bill deliver a karate chop, though. That probably would have taken him right out. One of those quick, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Like that. Yeah.
quick pork chop too. I mean, it's just-
Whatever kind of chops you need.
Do you really suffer from tinnitus?
I do.
Which, by the way, funny line. For many years, I've suffered from tinnitus. That's where I pulled that out of. Now it only flares up when I don't want to listen to all those questions about Star Trek. It's fucking great.
You know what tinnitus is?
It's when you had that ringing in your ears, right?
ringing
From
in
where'd
the
you get it from?
Well, I got it from an explosion, but sound engineers have it, rock musicians have it. It's
Radio people. Yeah.
Radio people have it. You
got it from warp drive.
armed forces have it a lot.
What explosion?
Explosion on set, actually. The doors were shut. They should have been cracked because of the air charging, and they didn't. And ever since then, it's gotten worse over the years.
And when you, it's funny, for your roast, you asked Leonard Nimoy to come, and he said no. He couldn't handle it, right?
He knew more than I did. I hadn't really seen it.
Oh no!
Did you
I
enjoy
thought,
the roast?
that's like Frank Sinatra's roasts and Dean Martin.
Right.
Look at it, funny, and it wasn't that at all. It's
very insulting.
It's really mean. Did you see the Charlie Sheen one?
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I thought you were very good on the challenge.
Thank you.
We had a couple
Yeah.
friends that
But that's like
were
an-
part of the roast.
what?
Patrice and Amy?
O'Neill and Amy Schumer are friends of ours.
Well, first of all, it's very funny.
Yes.
But it's like an intervention.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, why not have an intervention and shaming people? Look what you've done to your family. Look what you've done to your friends. Look what you've done to yourself. You lost your job. You lost all the money. And the person is like cowering and feeling so badly, they think, I got to go get a drink. Right? I mean, that's what an intervention is. Why not do it with humor? You're a funny guy. Look what you've done, and mock them with humor, so it's less an attack and more an observation.
Right.
Yeah.
So you seem to have a pretty thick skin about stuff like that. Like you're not easily.
I am.
offended.
Don't say anything mean.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle having one about myself. I think that was people who get
that
done,
would be a
it's
little
terrible.
terribly thick
But
skin.
wait a minute. That isn't like you're locked in a room with 8 guys here with a microphone, and you think nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah.
Michael, this channel, there's 1,000 people in the audience, and there's all these people on the dais laughing. He's getting it. His turn to be whacked. And then it's awful.
It looks very uncomfortable at times, and you have to kind of sit there and laugh. But yeah,
You
got
mean you, the
gotta,
audience, or the person there?
I would think the person there would have to.
The person there is gritting their teeth.
Yeah,
Are
you got to
kidding?
make believe it doesn't bother
Oh,
you.
yeah, it doesn't
think
really
you can-
matter. Ha, ha.
You got to be good
Yeah.
at acting.
It can only be done in America. The British couldn't do it. I
There
don't
would be a
think.
fight?
No. In the end, they'd just be polite to each other. They would just all in with, "No, I'm not going to say that. I quite like you."
Yeah, but the British get skewered in their papers.
Yeah. Oh, fuck you.
Oh, the
those
tabloids,
tabloid papers.
yeah.
As bad as ours are, the English are just
Way worse.
Well, their
Very
mainstream papers are like our tabloid papers. It really is kind of. I like the nudity in it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The
kinda
wonderful
nice.
thing is just have tits on page 3.
Yeah,
like
for no
it's,
reason.
Like it's part of their rights. Like they've tried to take him away, and the English are just like, what? And sometimes in some of the papers in the Sun, they'll have like Jenny with her tits out, and then a speech bubble saying what Jenny thinks about the war in Iraq.
That's very funny, but I don't want to get push this book too much, except to say that
please.
it's a great read, and I urge your listeners to. It debuted, or it dropped Tuesday, and next Tuesday, but you can get it now. My record is
Oh yes.
Which we played Iron Man from, which you're getting a lot of.
Hey, listen!
play from.
I came up in the elevator to the Opie and Anthony channel.
Yes.
And some young man with his hair combed up with a lot of brass and leather.
Jose.
Yeah, was it Jose? The
Yes.
spokesman for heavy metal.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I heard your record. It's great heavy metal. We need heavy metal. I said, well, if I get on the air, I'll talk about the energy that was necessary to do this this song with Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
20 of the greatest musicians alive today are on Seeking Major Tom. but for the moment, Zach Wilde is. Have you ever had him up here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you know what an
Jimmy's a
extraordinary
giant
individual he
fan,
is.
too, yeah.
Right? And what a fabulous musician.
Amazing.
I mean, apparently he went. I didn't know this. He went from being 130-pound skinny guy playing for Ozzy, right?
Yeah.
And then he went from that to this muscled up dude with tattoos and a long ponytail. Where that transformation took place, I don't know.
Right.
But I was in a studio and watching him lay down his tracks for Iron Man, which in this arc of what happened to Major Tom when after the Bowie song, what did happen to Major Tom when he stepped out of the capsule? I speculate in all these songs, Walking on the Moon, Space
Oh, okay.
You got it? So
There's a
then he
theme
begins
to
to
it, then.
die, and he begins to hallucinate. And we go into his background, Bohemian Rhapsody. We get to the Twilight Zone. And finally he goes to heaven. He imagines heaven with the Sinatra song, querying God. How could you let this happen? And goes to hell in Iron Man. So I tell Zach Wilde, this is the concert. He says, I want to be part of it. And I go up to his studio, and I've laid down my track. I'm doing Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man. I go up to the studio, and he is a madman with this extraordinary fingering of his guitar and the voice and the energy, the pure energy, the artistry of Zach Wilde. Well, I fell over. I had no idea. I had to go back to the studio days later and lay down another track to match the energy.
He did the vocals, right? That was Zach singing?
I'm singing
he's
with
singing.
him.
Right, you are.
doing the
Yeah.
backups and then
One of us was doing the backup to the other at various
Yeah.
times. It was, but my eyes and my vocal cords were opened at the concept of heavy metal. I had no idea.
Zach's very good. Yeah, and so you listen to his guitar tracks and
his vocals.
and you had laid the vocals down already, so you were kind of like,
In
oh boy,
prepara-
I gotta.
That's exactly
I gotta
right.
step this up.
This is I've done nothing. I'm the weak
I
sister.
phoned
here.
it in.
Exactly. I had no idea. Heavy metal's foreign to me. I guess you have to comb your hair up and wear black leather. And I got a headbanger award, an honorary headbanger award from Revolver magazine for this number. And the one question I kept getting. What the hell are you doing here?
But he even called it a number. That's old school. That's what Ozzy
Sure.
introduced. We're going to do a number now. That's old school. You
Well,
should-
what else do you call it?
a song or this one, but Ozzy calls it a number. That's the way you should address it, as a number. So you have to go a little more metal based than you think.
And Mr. Shatner's 80, right?
The what?
How old are you now, sir?
37.
37.
37, 38. That's where I think I left off. I stopped
Thinking about
in my
age?
own mind. I stopped about 37.
It's
or
just
38.
amazing.
Yeah, you really did.
First of all, you don't look your age whatsoever.
Or act it. You're an
Or
amazingly
act it, of
healthy
course.
energy.
You're able to keep up with Zach Wilde. Are you kidding me? That's pretty crazy in its own right.
Well, that's I think DNA.
You don't think it's good living?
Well, it's that too. I haven't abused myself too much.
Yeah.
Now, do you drink or do you eat unhealthy, or are you fairly regimented?
I probably I don't know you and your habits, but
Terrible. My
Terrible.
habits are
Well, then
terrible.
I'm regimented.
You used to be a smoker, right?
What?
You were a smoker.
A
weren't you,
long
back then?
time ago. I gave it up a long time ago.
Because I remember you doing when you did the cover of Rocket Man, and you
Oh,
had
yeah,
that
the
cigarette.
cigarette.
You looked cool.
We played that
fantastic.
earlier. It was
Cool.
cool.
Well, I
as
was trying
fuck.
to do some.
That's the
effort.
reason why I took up smoking.
I was glad I was able to help you between all those sawbones
you've given
of the kangaroo.
They were cutting off kangaroo arms.
Right.
I
It's
needed
bad enough to
another
cut off
hobby.
their tails. You know, they live. You cut off their tails because they eat them, and they grow a new tail.
Kangaroos?
I don't know that.
I know certain reptiles.
I
that
know.
are
Well,
part
isn't
of
a
the
kangaroo a
I
reptile?
don't think. I don't know. I don't think a
Maybe you're
kangaroo-
thinking of the gorn. I think the gorn is.
I'm throwing that out there as a possibility.
Ed knows more about Star Trek than Mr.
Of
Shatner.
course, I do.
No,
Was that a
And
Star
you know
Trek
more
reference?
about Star
Yes,
Trek than
Shatner
anybody.
knows that.
He doesn't know
I
this
just
stuff.
never stop.
I don't think he knows
I
this stuff.
never stop with the Star Trek references.
Well, let me tell you about another
can't.
Star Trek thing that I've
Oh,
done. Now, wait a minute.
please.
You're going to love this.
All
okay?
right.
I directed a documentary I called The Captains. Okay. Now, it was released on Epix television, and it's going into the theaters in Canada, and it's coming out as a DVD here October 20th, in a couple of weeks. Ooh. DVD of the Captains. Is really sensational. It made its premiere on the aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, one summer's evening this past summer, while the sun was setting and the skyline of New York was lighting up. A huge screen on the landing deck and 1,000 people watching this film. It's all about the actors. It's all about the actors, the human beings who played the captains in Star Trek. But it's about their character. It's about their soul. It's about what we have in common, what we have as differences. Something marvelous happened in this documentary. It has an arc and a meaning, and it's funny and it's soulful. And there's even an interview with there you are, 80 years old.
George
Takei. There you are, 80. With
George Takei, Leonard Nimoy.
the musician.
A musician. Oh, shit. Zach Wilde.
In which we... I'll name a company in a second. He's a good buddy, and now I can't think of his name. In which we sing the interview.
Oh,
okay? It's so much fun. It's a DVD called The Captains, and it's coming out October.
You keep so goddamn busy.
He's written...
How many? Yeah, how
30 books.
30 books.
You're going to love this. Star Trek. You're going to love this. After that documentary and the success of the documentary, they said, what else do you want to do? I said, well, I'd like to examine why people go to conventions. Why in this particular case, people go to the Star Trek conventions.
Yeah.
So I went to Vegas, where they were having the largest Star Trek convention of its kind ever, 20,000 people. Jesus, and I shot a documentary on why people go to conventions. I had written a book some years earlier called Get a Life, in which I discovered through interview that they were going there to see themselves, to see each other, to partake of each other. That's what I discovered in the book. What I discovered in the documentary, which I'm calling Fanatics, and it'll be released in a few months, is that they're there out of passion for each other, passion for the subject, but another deeper meaning. Joseph Campbell wrote a book called A Hero with 1,000 Faces. Had the theory, and it's obvious that it's a fact, that every culture has its mythology, starting from way back, even before the Greeks. Mythology. Star Trek is this culture's mythology. The actors who play the captains are their heroes. They partake in the ritual of the mythology by going to the convention, by wearing the costumes, by getting the autographs, by getting the doodads, by what you are doing in your passion for Star Trek.
Just remembering lines and scenes.
What you are doing.
By that he means participating in the ritual of the mythology.
Yeah.
And it's an honorable thing.
Yes, especially while languishing in alcoholism.
It's also 20,000 people trying to lose their virginity. So
in one fell swoop.
Wait, are you
lying on the floor, writhing.
William has to go soon because he has other interviews.
10 o'clock interviews.
But what are you doing a signing today? I believe you are doing one. Is that correct?
Oh yes,
12:30.
12:30 at.
I don't know. Do we have it?
How do we not have that
at
information?
Barnes and Noble?
How do we not have that?
12:30 at Barnes and Noble down here on.
There's a big one on Fifth Avenue.
On Fifth Avenue.
It is Fifth Avenue. That's in Union Square. And that's a massive Barnes & Noble, and there's plenty of room to stand inside, so you're not going to be outside.
And I'm going to do exactly 1 hour. And exactly...
One of your Earth hours. It was like when I had to say that, you know.
So you better get down there because I'm going to sign them quickly and
get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, the book. Should we plug everything?
Yeah. Well, I want to play another song off his CD too.
What song are you going to play? You know
I was
what I haven't
ask
heard?
you.
I haven't heard Twilight Zone. When I recorded, I thought, this could be pretty good, but I haven't heard anybody play it. Why don't you play,
we'll play
Twilight Zone?
And you know what? You got Warren Haynes. I love the Warren Haynes.
I mean, just read that list of musicians that are on
Warren
that.
Haynes knows how to play.
I mean, my God.
Man.
Sheryl Crow sings Mrs. Major Tom. Lyle Lovett, Brad Paisley. And then you go on, but Peter Frampton, John Wilton, Wayne Kramer, Michael Schenker, Ernie Watts. I mean, the list goes on and on
and on and on.
And also Zach. And I love the Iron Man version. I like the fact that you sang it. I thought it was cool. And there's on
you
YouTube,
so much.
on YouTube, you can see clips of him going, "I am Iron Man," trying to get the opening.
Yeah.
And
But
it
you
was
know
cool.
what that clip is? That clip is me in the first.
Right.
The first when I laid that track down
Yeah.
first,
Before you
and I'm
heard
trying
Zach.
to find the music, and I can't find it. I couldn't find it because I wasn't doing it right. Only when Zach showed me the way was I able to do it.
Yeah, it's
And Zach
amazing
sounds like
that-
Ozzy.
Yeah, he sounds great. He
For,
can
for
sing.
a
Yeah, he
minute there, I
does.
thought it was Ozzy himself. So, all right, we'll
Yeah.
do Twilight Zone. What the hell?
And it's
That's
out
the
in a
one-
week.
Yeah.
Right. It's called Seeking Major Tom. You can get
It
that on
drops on the this Tuesday, but it's out there now wherever, whatever. Yeah.
And Shatner Rules is out now. It's hilarious. The 2 chapters I've read, I loved, and he's signing today, 12:30, Barnes and Noble. And
Very cool,
you're just
William
great. We love
Shatner.
you.
Thank you so much for coming in. We always
Thank
love
you.
having you on, man.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
man.
And quickly, Jim Jefferies Stress Factory
Yes,
starting
Stress
tonight for the
Factory
weekend.
through
And
the
Jimmy's
weekend.
going to be at the Stress Factory soon.
Early in November, and I'm at Pittsburgh at the Improv at the end of October.
And we love you, Bill. You got to come in and see us again soon, man. We love when you come by.
Beautiful. I love talking to you guys.
All right,
you.
William
And
Shatner,
now you
everyone.
got
This
your
is
own channel,
Twilight
my
Zone.
Lord, it's just
Check this out as we say goodbye. See you tomorrow.